an ancient demon that moves through human bodies to spread catastrophe and destroy souls, one by one. The film opens by showing a doctor named Danny examining the condition of a corpse. The body is identified as a patient of a psychiatrist, who is also Danny's close friend Beth. Seeing how severe the condition of the body is, Danny cannot believe that the person responsible for the murder is her own friend. After finishing the examination, Danny rushes to meet Beth, who is currently being held in an isolation room at a mental hospital. Danny wants to ask Beth directly about her reasons for killing her own patient, because for a doctor, a patient's safety should always be the top priority.
No.
Hey, whoa.
Take out.
Danny is convinced that Beth must have another reason for committing such a brutal act, so she asks Beth to tell her how everything began. Beth then starts recounting the problems she has been facing. Beth is a psychiatrist with an excellent reputation in her city, loved and respected by everyone around her, including her patients, because she has helped many of them resolve their personal struggles.
No idea how hard it is.
Hard how?
I'm an English professor.
One day, while working in her office, Beth is visited by a young man named Asa, a student at Miskatonic University. Asa comes to beg Beth to help him solve his problem, having learned about her from a book she herself wrote. The book discusses out-of-body experiences, a topic that closely matches what Asa is currently experiencing, and Asa believes Beth is the only person who can help him. Asa explains that he has been experiencing a phenomenon where his spirit leaves his body and moves into his father's body. Although it sounds impossible, Asa insists that he has actually swapped bodies with his father, whose name is Ephraim. Asa is convinced that all of this is his father's doing and fears that Ephraim will take over his body again. Because of that fear, Asa begs Beth to come with him to his house, which is located not far from Beth's workplace. Beth immediately refuses, explaining that she has no authority to visit a patient's home. After hearing Asa's story, Beth diagnoses him as showing symptoms of schizophrenia and recommends that Asa seek treatment at the psychiatric center on his campus. In the middle of their conversation, Asa's father, Ephraim, repeatedly calls him. Asa refuses to answer because he is afraid his father will take control of his body, but eventually, unable to endure the ringing any longer, he answers the call. As he speaks with his father, Ephraim can be heard chanting something like a spell, and suddenly Asa's body begins to convulse violently.
Get that?
I know.
Something that you're afraid of. Who has a power over you, Mr. Waite?
After the convulsions stop, Asa's personality seems to change completely. The Asa now standing before Beth appears extremely confident and fearless, no longer panicked or terrified as he was when they first met. Witnessing this drastic change leaves Beth deeply confused, and she assumes that Asa's behavior confirms her belief that he is suffering from dissociative identity disorder. Beth quickly gives Asa her phone number, hoping he will contact her if he gets into trouble. Without any further conversation, Asa leaves.
Just in case.
For the first time, Beth feels utterly unsettled and cannot stop thinking about Asa. Overwhelmed, she confides in her husband, Eddie, who listens patiently to all of her worries as a devoted husband. Beth tries hard to stop thinking about Asa, but no matter how much she tries, it is useless because Asa continues to haunt her thoughts. Even when Beth and Eddie are making love, Beth finds herself fantasizing about making love with Asa instead. The next day, Beth, who still cannot stop thinking about Asa, decides to go to Asa's house just to meet him. However, when she arrives, Asa has already run away from home, and the only person there is his father, Ephraim. Ephraim is an elderly man who is half paralyzed and cannot survive without medication. He explains that Asa has been gone for several days. Beth tells Ephraim that Asa had come to see her to ask for help and hopes Ephraim will take part in supporting Asa's medical treatment, but Ephraim seems indifferent and unconcerned. He is convinced that no matter how long Asa stays away, he will eventually come back home. While talking, Beth notices a book on Ephraim's table containing illustrations of occult rituals, suggesting that Ephraim has a strong interest in dark magic. Soon after, Ephraim begins coughing badly, and feeling sorry for him, Beth approaches to help, but unexpectedly Ephraim pulls out a knife and cuts Beth's hand, then forces her out of the house. Beth returns to her daily routine while waiting for any news from Asa, still deeply worried about his fate. One day, while Beth is conducting a hypnosis therapy session with another patient, Asa suddenly appears at her office.
Doctor.
Asa.
Because she is busy, Beth asks Asa to wait in the waiting room while she finishes the session. But when she goes to see him afterward, Asa has already left without leaving any message. That night after work, Beth talks to Eddie again about Asa, and just as she is about to take a shower, she receives a phone call from Asa. Sounding extremely panicked, Asa begs Beth to come to his house immediately. Fearing that something terrible might happen to him, Beth rushes over, despite Eddie warning her not to get too involved in a patient's personal life and suggesting she call the police instead. Beth refuses and goes to Asa's house, where she is shocked to find Ephraim lying on the floor, barely alive. Beth tries to help by calling the police and giving him his medication, but Asa snatches her phone and throws it away, insisting that Ephraim be left to die. Asa reveals his plan to kill Ephraim so he can never take over his body again, and it is then revealed that Ephraim possesses dark magic that allows him to switch bodies with others. He has already taken control of Asa's body twice, and if he succeeds a third time, the exchange will become permanent, meaning Ephraim will possess Asa's body forever. Asa desperately wants to prevent this, later revealing that Ephraim is not actually his father, but an evil demon that took over his father's body, now seeking Asa's younger body, because the father's body is no longer useful. Still struggling to understand, Beth urges Asa to call the police, but Asa becomes enraged and demands that Beth help him decapitate Ephraim, claiming it is the only way to kill the demon inhabiting his father's body.
If he says it one more,
Mine.
his
Suddenly, Ephraim miraculously rises again, and despite his dying physical state, the demon within him remains alive. Ephraim grabs Asa and whispers a spell into his ear, causing both bodies to convulse violently as the soul exchange takes place, with Ephraim successfully taking over Asa's body, while Asa's soul is transferred into his father's dying body. Beth watches in shock and confusion, unable to comprehend what is happening, and after the exchange, Ephraim has permanently claimed Asa's body. Unaware of the truth, Beth believes Asa's altered behavior is merely the result of dissociative identity disorder. Now, inside Asa's body, Ephraim seduces Beth and invites her to make love, and because Beth has been attracted to Asa from the beginning, she gives in and sleeps with him. During this moment, Ephraim uses the opportunity to chant another spell, triggering a brief body exchange in which Beth's soul enters Asa's body while Ephraim takes control of Beth's body, leaving Beth utterly horrified and unable to rationally explain how she could end up inside Asa's body, while Asa, or rather Ephraim, inhabits hers, realizing that what has happened cannot be explained by medicine and is purely the result of dark magic. After that, both of them return to their original bodies. Ephraim soon realizes that the real Asa, whose soul had been inside Ephraim's body, has disappeared without a trace. Ephraim immediately goes out to search for Asa, who is trying to escape from him. After Ephraim leaves, Beth briefly looks through the contents of Ephraim's spell book. Suddenly, Beth is startled by the appearance of the real Asa, who has actually been hiding in the room all along. Asa, now trapped inside Ephraim's body, begs Beth to help him escape. Beth, who still does not fully understand the situation, instead tells Asa to stay away from her. Hearing the commotion, Ephraim returns, grabs a knife, and stabs the body containing Asa's soul. Not stopping there, Ephraim decapitates Asa to make sure he is truly dead. At the same time, Asa's house begins to burn after a candle falls beneath a table. Witnessing this brutal scene with her own eyes leaves Beth utterly terrified, and without hesitation, she flees the house. Not knowing who else to turn to, Beth goes to the office of her friend, Danny, a fellow psychiatrist. As colleagues, Danny and Beth often share their problems and rely on each other during difficult times, and this time, Beth seeks Danny's understanding. However, Danny completely fails to grasp what Beth is saying, and instead assumes that Beth is merely stressed from violating ethical boundaries between doctor and patient, where forbidden relationships are not allowed. Danny advises Beth to be honest with Eddie about having made love with her patient.
We'll get through this. What really happened last night? Get you a fresh shirt.
Beth then returns home, only to be visited by two police officers who ask for her statement regarding the fire at Asa's house and return her phone, which was found in the yard.
He said that you were a great help to him.
Is everyone okay? The young man is fine.
You must have dropped your phone when you left.
After that, the officers leave. Eddie then admits how worried he is about Beth and asks her to explain what happened the previous night. Beth confesses that she made love with her patient, and hearing this devastates Eddie, who is so heartbroken that he refuses to see Beth for a while. Feeling guilty, Beth decides to stay at her office until Eddie is willing to forgive her. A few days later, Beth contacts Eddie and asks to meet, promising to do anything to earn his forgiveness, then returns home, hoping for reconciliation. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Ephraim, now inhabiting Asa's body, prepares for another body exchange with Beth. He deliberately handcuffs himself and locks himself in the basement so that when Beth's soul transfers into his body, she will be unable to escape. After completing his preparations, Ephraim calls Beth just as she finishes showering. Unaware of any danger, Beth answers the call, and Ephraim begins chanting a spell. In an instant, Beth and Ephraim switch bodies again.
Now. Come on, Italian.
What did you do? Did you drug me?
This time, Beth, now inside Asa's body, finally accepts the reality that body swapping is truly happening and realizes she is trapped in the basement of Asa's house, surrounded by drawings of demons and sacrificial rituals.
Demon octopus.
Desperate to escape, Beth spots Asa's phone nearby and uses it to contact Danny for help. Knowing Danny would never believe that her soul has entered another body, Beth pretends to be Beth's friend and claims that Beth is in grave danger. Fortunately, Danny listens and rushes to Asa's house. There, Beth tries to explain that her soul is inside Asa's body and that everything is the work of Ephraim. Beth finally understands that the only way to stop Ephraim is to decapitate the body he possesses, which explains why Asa had been so desperate to kill and behead Ephraim before, though Asa failed and met a tragic end. Now Beth has one last chance to fight back, because if Ephraim takes over her body again, Beth will be trapped inside Asa's body forever. To Danny, the story sounds completely fabricated and impossible, and she firmly states that she does not believe Beth. Danny then asks where Beth's real body is if her soul is inside Asa. This question horrifies Beth as she realizes that her body is currently at home and that Ephraim, inhabiting it, will soon encounter Eddie. Fearing something terrible will happen, Beth immediately calls the police and asks them to check on Eddie, only to learn that Eddie is safe because Ephraim has been using Beth's body to engage in violent and brutal making love with Eddie. Beth then continues her conversation with Danny. Because Danny still refuses to believe Beth's claim about being able to switch bodies, Beth is forced to reveal a secret known only to the two of them, hoping this will convince Danny that Beth's soul is currently inside Asa's body. Suddenly, both Asa's body and Beth's body convulse again, signaling another body reversal.
I never would have.
After returning to Asa's body, Ephraim tells Danny to leave the house immediately.
What about calling me?
You know, if
Just tell me where she is.
Danny is left confused by the sudden change in attitude and assumes that Beth and Asa are merely playing some kind of twisted game. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Beth is overwhelmed with relief upon seeing Eddie safe and unharmed. Eddie then invites Beth to engage in violent and intense making love again, and it is at that moment that Beth realizes Ephraim has abused Eddie while inhabiting her body. Instead of rejecting it, Eddie has become addicted to the experience. Fearing that Ephraim might possess her body again, Beth begs Eddie not to see her anymore, choosing to leave him temporarily to protect him. She says her goodbye and walks away, leaving Eddie confused and shaken. Beth returns to her office, convinced that Ephraim will come looking for her and determined to end everything once and for all. As expected, Ephraim arrives at Beth's office. Beth questions who Ephraim truly is and where he comes from, and Ephraim reveals that he is a demon who has lived for centuries by moving from one body to another, unable to remember exactly how long he has existed, only that he has been on Earth for hundreds of years. Refusing to let anyone else fall victim to him, Beth devises a plan to jump out of her office window at the moment Ephraim chants the body-switching spell, hoping Ephraim will die inside her body. But this proves ineffective. Ephraim instead challenges Beth, promising she can reclaim her life only if she manages to kill him with a knife. Beth then comes up with another idea, hypnotizing Ephraim using the reflection of light from the knife, which successfully distracts him for a brief moment.
Free. Among the trees.
Time is just a shadow.
Body to body. Don't you get weary?
Seizing the opportunity, Beth stabs Ephraim in the head and pushes him out of the office window, then rushes downstairs to beat him until he can no longer fight back. However, before she can finish him properly, Beth is arrested by the police. This is how Beth ends up confined in an isolation room at a mental hospital, labeled as mentally unstable, with everyone believing she went insane after committing a brutal act against her own patient. Beth then tells Danny that she never managed to decapitate Ephraim and begs her to do it so Ephraim can never take over another body again. After hearing the entire story, Danny finally believes everything Beth has said. In the middle of their conversation, Beth suddenly begins convulsing again. It turns out that even though Asa's body has been destroyed, Ephraim is still alive within it and starts chanting another body-swapping spell. If Beth had decapitated Asa's body earlier, Ephraim would never have survived, but now it is too late. Beth's body is fully taken over by Ephraim, and Beth's soul becomes trapped inside Asa's severely damaged body. Inside the isolation room, Danny is deeply confused when she sees Beth's behavior change once again, and she quickly realizes that the presence inside Beth's body is no longer the Beth she knows.
Drug reaction. I've only seen ridiculous.
What's my name?
Okay.
Not long after, a hospital security guard calls Danny to the morgue, where Asa's shattered body is seen moving on its own. Danny immediately understands that Beth's soul is now inside Asa's body, and she does everything she can to keep Asa's body alive so that Beth's soul can survive as well. Danny then rushes back to the isolation room to confront and attack Ephraim, who has taken over Beth's body.
I can keep you here. They're in hell, so yours will have good company! Come on!
But instead, Ephraim seizes control of Danny's body. Now inhabiting Danny, Ephraim orders the security guards to restrain Beth. Danny's soul, trapped inside Beth's body, desperately tries to convince the guards that she is the real Danny. When Ephraim, inside Danny's body, attempts to kill Beth, he accidentally drops his gun, and Danny quickly grabs it to prevent Ephraim from harming her. At the same time, Beth's soul is still alive inside Asa's body, and out of mercy, Danny chooses to kill Beth so she will no longer suffer from the unbearable pain of Asa's destroyed body. After that, Ephraim transfers back into Beth's body and immediately shoots the guard who is protecting Danny.
Wait, hold on.
When Ephraim tries to kill Danny next, the gun runs out of bullets, giving Danny a chance to attack him. With her remaining strength, Danny attempts to decapitate Beth's body, but her plan fails. Ephraim, still inside Beth's body, begins chanting another body-swapping spell and successfully transfers himself into Danny's body once more.
Come on. Psychiatrist. Figure out. Come on.
The final scene shows Ephraim now living inside Danny's body, receiving a visit from Eddie, who comes to confide in Danny about Beth, whom he believes has gone insane. Ephraim quietly plans to take over Eddie's body someday while continuing his new life inside Danny.
We were friends.
As for the real Danny, her soul is now permanently trapped inside Beth's body, condemned to a tragic existence, locked away in an isolation room for an indefinite amount of time. Most likely, Danny will eventually lose her sanity from being imprisoned in another person's body, alone in isolation. And with that, the story comes to an end.